Today we'll be covering a standard opening for Stone's Unyielding Defiance. Stone's Unyielding Defiance is a moderate complexity spirit. He is a very interesting spirit in the fact that you actually want to allow the invaders to ravage and potentially blight the land, but that's okay because one of your special abilities is that you can pay energy to take blight from the box instead of from the card, and then your other innate power is going to deal the damage back against them and typically able to solve the lands that way. So on turn 1, we're going to go ahead and G3 and gain a minor power. And pretty much all the power cards that you're going for this spirit, you're looking for earth cards. You'll notice your 2 and 8 powers do require some plant and some sun, but that's going to be towards the late game. I wouldn't worry about trying to get those right away. You'll get them eventually if you just play the game. On turn 1, I like to play Jagged Shards Push from the earth. I'll be adding a Badlands, but I'll also be pushing 2 Dahan into where I want to set up a counterattack. On turn 2, I'm going to add another presence from the top track. And as part of my special rule, deep layers exposed to the surface, I'm going to be gaining a minor power. And then part of G3, when I gain that power card, I'm going to be gaining a major power. Next, I'll play Stubborn Solidity. In the same land where I pushed the Dahan into on turn 1, I'm now going to be targeting that land, enabling a counterattack. And I'll generally play my major power. Now, hopefully that major power has an earth, and if so, you can typically solve the second land, if you put presence in it, by paying energy to take the blight from the box instead of the card. On turn 3, we're going to G1, gaining 2 earth elements and placing another presence from the top track. And you can generally play whatever cards you want. You could play one of your unique powers and a minor power. You could reclaim loop your major power and another unique power. Pretty much whatever you need to do to handle the lands on this turn. Now with the 2 earth elements from G1, we are typically going to have enough earth to hit the second threshold of hold the island fast with a Bulwark of Will and get our first counterattack with let them break themselves against the stone. And on turn 4 plus, you're generally just going to be playing whatever you need to, going all along the top track. Now, I know the bottom track, it's very tempting to get those free earth elements, but the top track is just way better. You're going to be getting more card plays, more energy, and you don't generally need the extra earth elements until later in the game anyway. So I would recommend just ignore that bottom track completely until you've maxed out your top track, and then start getting the earth elements, which will allow you to hit the third threshold of your 2 innate powers. What are force multipliers for the spirit? Because you're generally going to be stuck in a reclaim loop, especially if you're going to be playing that major power again and again, you're only going to be able to add presence to the lands that you have presence in or mountains. So being able to push and pull enemies out of the lands that they're about to ravage and into the lands where you have presence, where you can use your right innate to do counterattack damage, that can be very impactful. Likewise, having range, because again, some of your innate powers and cards are going to have a range of 0. Being able to extend that range further is going to be very useful. So I just mentioned this, but on turn 3 onward, it is really good to be able to be in a reclaim loop to continuously play that major power every turn and get the 2 earth elements, which will help hit your thresholds for your innate powers. However, you'll notice that with this presence, you can only add to lands where you already placed your presence or mountains. So your first 2 turns, when you're for sure going to do G2 or G3, those are important because you want to place them in non-mountain lands, because you'll be able to place presence in the mountains for free later on when you're doing the G1 reclaim loop. Now, sometimes I fall into this trap where I forget that I need energy for hold the island fast with the Bulwark of Will. Sometimes I'll spend all of my energy on the cards, and then thinking in my head, oh, I'm going to solve this land with my left innate, and then I realize, oh my goodness, I don't have any energy to do it, and then I end up taking blight from the card. So avoid that pitfall and just remember you have to save up energy, at least have a little bit left over. And this is one of the unique spirits where your board might be full of blight, and it's okay because you're taking it from the box and not the card. And even adding blight to lands where you have presence doesn't necessarily destroy your presence as long as it doesn't exceed the number of presence you have in that land. So very interesting spirit and really powerful and really fun to play. This is my summary of a standard opening of Stone's Unyielding Defiance. I hope this was helpful, and good luck defending the island.